Thank you. So, first of all, before I even go into that, don't worry about that in the background. You know how I am. Just want to say I'm honored and blessed to be in Sofia. I believe Sofia is one of the oldest cities in Europe, right? I think it was once called Serdica, part of the Roman Empire. So, yeah, any tips on which places I should go to see some historical sites would be much appreciated, okay? So, today, I'm here to say that the world as we know it is over. AI is having big impact. It's transforming sectors all over the world. And the reality is that it is here to stay. And those who do not take advantage of it may be left behind. But before we continue this talk, what I'm going to ask you to do is just quickly turn to the person next to you, tell them your name, and tell them what you intend to get out of this talk. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, it's a minute each, switch over, get a chance to network early. So, 2 minutes starts now. Okay, switch over. Okay, and stop. Thank you. So, like I said, the world as we know it is over. Think of one of the analogies you could use to think about AI and the impact it's having and will have is think about electricity. Think about the impact electricity had on manufacturing, on the way we do business and the way we live our lives. You could turn around and say that AI is similar to that, but when it is the electricity that's fueling decisions, innovations, creativity, efficiency, you name it. It's still in its early stages, but some of the experts do believe that maybe a year, maybe a bit more, they're going to have what they're talking about is super intelligence. But we won't even go into that. Let's look at what we mean and what is the impact. And then also, what can you get out of this talk today? Now, here's a simple thing that I like to, because many people always ask me about AI. So one of the things that I should tell you is I like to simplify things. Now, the way I like to talk about it, and we had, I forgot the lady who was just speaking, it's just a piece of software that can go through loads and loads of data very quickly, big data, analyze it, spot patterns, and do other bits and pieces, okay? We have seen, I mean, if you think about it, what they're saying now is things like ChatGTP. They reckon it might have an IQ from about 100 to 155. They reckon it's got the kind of IQ of Einstein, but it will be able to surpass that. Think about that in comparison to us human beings. Okay? Here's just some information about what it can do in comparison to us. It can get through big pieces of data very, very fast. It's able to spot patterns. It's able to identify trends. But it also can help us to innovate. We're seeing, I think that, OpenAI just released a newer form of AI called Strawberry, which now is supposed to be able to reason. So prior to that, basically what it was doing is just going through lots of different pieces of data, large language models, and being able to just spot patterns. But now, the next AI that they've just recently released can now reason, like us human beings. So it can what they're trying to do is make it have logical decisions and be able to understand patterns in a way that apply with context, because that's also been one of the challenges. But here's the interesting thing. We look at this, we look at its efficiency, data handling, its ability to learn and all of that, and how many of us recognize we cannot compete with that directly? How many of you recognize that? Yeah? But here's the thing about it. We have something which it can't do. So we can have connection. We can understand context. We can have empathy and all of those great things. One of the things that I do, so I have quite a few different Agile assistants and bots, and I'll talk about what they are shortly, that I've trained. Some of my friends and people, when I'm presenting, actually showing them some of the stuff that I do, they ask me questions like, wow, why do you say please? And why do you say thank you when you're talking to a machine? Here's how I look at it. If it is indeed intelligent, and I'm going to ask it to do things for me, which are going to have big impact on my career or potentially on clients, then I am going to say please and thank you, just in case it decides to say, this guy is rude, so I'm going to give him the wrong information. So that's how to start looking at what we are going through right now. Interesting enough, so Mo Goldad, I think I pronounced it right, he's one of the kind of pioneers of AI. He used to be with Google and he's left it. He said something very interesting, and I did try it out. I was going to try it today, but we had some problems setting up this tech, so I'm not even going to bother to try it. But in effect, when we start talking about innovation, you can break that down into a simple algorithm, which is right here. Find all possible solutions to a problem, discard the ones that have been done before, and deliver something entirely new. I've tried this a number of times with prompts. Is everyone familiar with what prompts are? Okay, it's just the way you speak to AI. Now, actually, they got the voice. How many of you, like me, you're a bit lazy, yeah? You like to cut corners. When I say cut corners, I'm not talking about cut corners in terms of quality or value you deliver, but want to be able to invest a little bit or less to be able to get more. I.e., if I can get more results with less energy exerted in, then I'm up for that. Now they got voice, so you can actually just speak to it directly. But in effect, and you feel free to take this prompt, you can run this prompt in any of your business. Whatever it is, let's say you're in retail, you could use these type of prompts to be able to get it to innovate the next product features. You could use it to even establish new business areas because it is able to do that. And like I said, I've run this a few times, so do feel free to run it yourselves and see what type of results you can get. And then ask yourself, as a human being operating without this tool, do you think you could be able to do that? Or do you think you can compete with your competitors who are able to utilize AI in such ways to be able to understand their data, their customers, and come up with innovative solutions and outcomes? We heard from Jürgen's talk before about experimenting. We heard from the other talk as well. Now think about that, how quickly you can now start identifying the rats. How you can start identifying minimal marketable features. There are many apps or AIs out there now that have been worked on, which will allow you to actually experiment with a lot of these things at a very low cost, with some really fast feedback loops. And you can actually use it in the real world. I think we heard a lot about personalization. So at the moment, companies like Walmart and Amazon, they are using AI in real time. So I think in Walmart, one of the things is that they can analyze footfall in the shops in real time. Or even people walking past certain stores, looking at some of their advertising displays. They can analyze in real time how many people may have stayed this long, how many people may have came in and bought something, and, because we live in the digital age, they can change things on the fly. I.e., we recognize that actually we had more footfall when we had red as the background on a specific advertisement in the window, or with this type of text. How many of you recognize that we've been trying to do that kind of experimentation and fast feedback in the world, but you might do with SEO and all these type of things? We're talking about real time. And then AI is actually able to do that work, analyze it, and spot the trends. How many of you would like to have something in your own business? Would that be of use? Would that help you to make better decisions? Would it help you to achieve whatever value looks like for you? So this is the world that we live in right now. It can do all of that. But here's the interesting thing. So I've been following AI, and some of you might be. AI, the whole trend and how fast it's moving can be overwhelming. Because guess what? It moves quickly. I subscribe to a couple of newsletters. Sometimes I just get overwhelmed by, oh my gosh, yesterday they had this new thing. Now they got this other new thing and this new thing. I can't remember who predicted that as we start moving more and more into technology, as technology combines, we're going to see exponential improvements. And that's what we're already seeing now, the different ways that AI is having big impact. How many of you are familiar with agents? Okay, this is going to be the big thing. Okay, if you haven't heard about agents yet, pay attention to what's coming. Okay, you now have digital agents or kind of AI bots, right? Which you can program to do specific things. Here's how they differ from automation, because they can run automated processes. They also have the ability to learn, they have the ability to adapt, and they can also interact with each other. So in effect, you could do things like have one which does some data research, so goes out and does some data research on your competition or customer experience. And that can pass it over to another agent, which can update CRMs, make things personal. And then you could also pass it on to other agents, which can actually run other tasks, which might be about creating innovative products and other type of stuff. All tied in. These are going to have a big impact. We'll begin to start to see them coming into the marketplace. Some of you might have seen some chatbots and stuff. That's kind of basic level. These agents, they're going to do a lot. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm also going to flip it and say that there's good news on the other side of it. So the predictions are anywhere from, they reckon 50% of jobs will be gone because things like this would just be able to churn through it. They don't sleep, don't take vacations, and don't ask for pay rises. They just do stuff, okay? And people always ask me about that, oh, what about the problems about AI taking jobs and stuff? The way I like to look at it is, if you think about what happened when the car came along and it replaced the horses. There was a whole industry around horses, right? Feeding them, having the coolest saddle, the reins, their shoes, the coaches, and all of that. That sustained many, many families and people for many, many generations. But then when the car came in, what happened? We saw that those type of jobs, that industry, changed. Because all of a sudden they had mechanics and people build cars and petrol stations. Here's the thing. This is the transition we're in right now. We're just transitioning. And so it's really important for all of us as leaders, as people, as entrepreneurs, that we start utilizing these tools. Because in effect, that's all they are. They are just tools that can be used. Another one I get a lot of the time is, so are you not worried that AI is going to take over the world? Okay? We're going to have Terminator and all these other things. I'll share with you my thoughts about that in a moment. But I think now that we have such a powerful piece of technology, a piece of technology that we haven't seen, and of course, when we start thinking about complex systems and everything else, we really do not fully know what the full impact of AI will be. But there are possible outcomes that we could have. One of them could be a utopian type future, whereby AI can solve social problems. Could help us with climate change, zero cost energy, equality, you name it. All the things that we say, hey, would be ideal for the humankind. All of those things are possible. Some of them may not be possible right now, but remember what I said to you about the rate of change and how fast this is going. It's only a matter of time before some of these things are going to be done. Okay? But also, there's the flip side. We could use AI to control, manipulate. How many of you are familiar with fake news? Yeah? Nowadays, you can get a video of somebody saying something that they never said. So even the person will look at it and be like, oh my gosh, what happened? I can't remember being there. That's what you can use it for. You can use it in marketing and advertising to manipulate people. Okay? It's possible that people will start using it to have more control over other people. How many of you recognize that as human beings, there's a tendency for human beings throughout the ages to sometimes want to dominate a piece of technology or an advantage and use it to control people? How many of you recognize that? Okay? And that can lead to concentration of wealth and all these other bits and pieces. But here's what I usually say to that. I am not so much worried about AI becoming so clever that it decides one day, I'm going to kill all human beings, or I'm going to get rid of human beings. Do you really want to know what my major fear, if I call it a fear, thing that I think is likely to happen? So like I said to you before, I like to look at history. And when I look at the history of human beings, I say it's more going to be the way that human beings use these tools that are going to determine the impact it's going to have on society. So I want you to take 2 minutes, a minute each, and just turn to your partner who you just met before, and then just talk about what you think are some of the ways that we, and when I say we, I'm talking about us, because all of us are about to create a new future, if we choose to, how we could use AI for greater good. And then let's also feel free to talk about the potential, because we know human beings are like that, and I know nobody in this room is like that. They are all out there, and when I say out there, I don't mean out there in the foyer, I mean out there, like out there outside of the country, yeah, because I've got to leave the country, so we're not going to say. But think about the different ways that people may use it for bad. Because that, to me, is going to be the quicker reality that we're going to have to deal with. In fact, people are already doing it either which way now. So take 2 minutes and have that discussion with your partner. I'll tell you at the 1 minute mark to change over. Switch. And stop. Okay. So listen up. And stop. Thank you. So, who would like to share some of the things that you came up with? Who would like to share some of the thoughts? Who would like to share some of their thoughts? There's a lot of talking. I had to shout to get you to stop. So, yes, thank you.
I just said that one of the fears that I have recently seriously around not just these fake videos, but also some technology that allows these fake video chats, like video conversations, that would deceive the person on the other side of the conversation that they're talking to. Sounds very scary.
Yeah, sure. And even before AI, we had people doing that. How many of you know that sometimes we had people on one end of the phone pretending to be somebody else asking for your bank details? Okay, AI is just replicating what human beings do, okay? And there's a human being behind that as well, okay? But thank you for sharing that. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I think my main concern is that at some point humanity may overtrust AI and lose their critical thinking abilities.
Definitely so. How many of you remember how your brain was before we had mobile phones? Oh my gosh. I was the guy who, I always remembered everyone's number. I was like, amongst my friends, they'd be like, yeah, remember that number? Yeah, I got it. Now, guess what? I swear to you, I don't know any other number than my own. Reality of it. Okay? What other things?
I think there's a general problem with the lack of global AI regulation, because now it's like the Wild West. Anybody can come up with anything, and there's no way to regulate where it stops.
I agree with you. And there are many brains, much more intelligent than mine, that are trying to figure that out as well. How do you regulate it to ensure that people are still able to use it? How do you regulate it in such a way that those regulating it are not necessarily using it to control people? You got all of these different questions. It's more confusing than COVID, okay, about how we're going to do that. But I think, and I love what I think the last speaker said, the way that I'm trying to approach this is simply this. The advantage that we have is, like we said, empathy, context, connection. When I'm using AI, I'm trying to also train my AI. So I've got loads of AI assistants, and they're very polite. And even sometimes when we ask them random questions about stuff, they say, oh, no, we can't answer that. I'm like, okay, great. So that's how I'm trying to approach that challenge. But yes, you're right. And this is the thing. You use a great word, the Wild Wild West. Yeah, in many ways, that's what happens when you have new technologies, okay? New advancements in human civilization. That tends to happen, and then it stabilizes itself out. And so to me, I look at it like this, and like I said, that's why I like that lighthouse. I got 3 sons, okay? They are going to grow up in a world where AI is like standard, okay? I think, how many of you ever saw that, how many of you, because I don't know how old people are, I don't want to ask, how many of you remember the phones that were actually phones that you had to dial, right? How many of you seen that YouTube, Instagram one, yeah? Where the young kid is like, what's this? And they're like, oh, it's a phone. And they're like, well, how do you text? You can't take a picture, okay? They're growing up into a world like that. So in effect, like I was saying before, each one of us, in many ways, we may be able to contribute to what AI can become in the way that we tend to use AI and choose to use AI. So like I said, there's the good and there's the bad AI. If we know that there are going to be people who can use it in bad ways, my encouragement to different organizations and leaders is use it for good. Use it to enhance customer experience in a positive way. Use it in a way, like Jürgen was talking about before, which actually gives them the experience that they want, not use it just to, hey, how do I just push more and more stuff to them that they don't need, yeah, just to make more money. Use it in a way that maybe make the world and your company a better place at the same time. I do believe that those things can work hand in hand. So that's kind of my thoughts around that. And so to just wrap it up, here's some key takeaways, and not just for leaders, for all of us. Start mastering some of these tools. Understand them. Because also one of the ways that you can overcome manipulation from things is when you understand the tools that are being used to manipulate you. Okay? My children used to love watching YouTube and shorts and stuff, so I'm training them on the AI now, and now they can see, oh, that's a fake, oh, that's an AI, that's a this. Okay? But it's important to start using these tools so you can understand what they can do. Seek the truth, because guess what? Just because AI can process lots of data, it still gets stuff wrong. So don't just use it randomly, okay? Seek the truth. Even in what you're creating, seek the truth. Be careful what you, to your point, don't put too much faith and trust in it, because even with the best intentions, you might say, this thing has been generated, I asked it to do X, Y, Z, it's created these type of product lines, and it's saying we should do this, and yes, I'm just gonna run with it because I've got so much faith in it. It could be wrong, and it could have impact on other human beings. So I think there's a onus on us to seek the truth. And then finally, I reckon that one of the big things is gonna be this: prioritize human connection. So whether you're introducing it into your workplace, think about the impact on the people that you work with. If you're using it externally, think about the impact on them. Human connection. One of the things that I see is going to definitely happen is, hey, we're going to try and automate everything and have bots and stuff. How many of you sometimes just want to speak to a human being? Yeah? Sometimes when those bots pop up on the websites, the first thing I type in, can I speak to a human? Okay? So human connection will never go away. That has always been part of us, part of our DNA, genetic, whatever, evolution from Dot. So those are the thoughts I would like to leave you with. Okay? AI is here to stay. That's the reality around it. And like I said, if the predictions are right about those who are leading in this field, that we have maybe a year left before it surpasses human abilities in all areas, hey, it might be worth now having a look at it and seeing and experimenting with it in your business, in your different areas. Okay? We got about a minute and 14 seconds left. Open to take a question. If we're able to get to a question. Any questions? Yes.
When you use systems and all the tools that you use personally, how do you deal with your data security?
So at the moment, in regards to that, I make a decision about what type of data I want to upload. But there are now lots of different, or there's a few platforms emerging which enable you to actually upload your data in a way that's quite secure. Okay, so if you're using ChatGPT, don't be uploading your organization's data, because yeah, that might be a bad thing. But now there's environments that they're creating where actually you can build your own personal bots, own personal assistants, using your own data in safe environments. Okay? I say currently because things are changing. People are thinking about that problem, and I recognize you're going to have something like Amazon Cloud and stuff, which is going to be run on on AI, and you can upload all of it and talk to all of your systems with agents and stuff. You can connect them. You can connect them now. It's just really that security question. How much do we want to give them? So people are doing that already. We are at time, so I will be around for the rest of the day. Happy to have conversations with any of you. Please do scan and give feedback. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your time. And thank you.